Good evening, welcome to my channel. I'm back and today I have something a little bit unusual because I have a new edition of my short story collection to show you, and it's quite different. Here it is, Running Coyote and Fallen Star. Now the first thing you'll note is that the cover is very different from what it was before. So here's the previous version and here's the new version. On the back the spine's also different obviously, and the back cover looks like this. So the question is, why did I bother to redesign the cover for Running Coyote and Fallen Star? And there are several reasons. The first reason, most practically, is that by adding a gloss to the front of this, I've protected the cover better. Although fingerprints still appear, they can be wiped off. This is much harder to do on a matte cover. Also, a slightly unfortunate aspect of Amazon direct print is what it does to covers. These are the two covers of the book, and you can see this one's riding up a lot more than this one. It's because by adding the gloss coating, the front cover has become thicker. So it sits a little bit better. Still not perfect, but it is a little bit better than that one, which will always be bendy in a really annoying way. I've put this issue to Amazon and received zero response, as expected. Not even an acknowledgement. What can you do? But more importantly, if you look at there are several things wrong with this cover. The first and most obvious point is that my name is very small. I was being overly modest, and it's small and faint, and that doesn't really sort of shout, you know, this is an author to read. Whereas by putting my name quite large, prominently positioned and pink, I'm saying, yes, this is a book by me, Ian Boyter, and you should read it. Also, I think just the typography is more dynamic, you know, the way it's arranged there as opposed to there. And by having this figure in the foreground, by adding a figure, I'm sort of personifying one of the characters in the book, and that just sort of adds a bit of intrigue, a bit of interest, I think. The content is the same. I mean, it's exactly the same. There's a piece of, you know, one of the little write-ups, critiques on the front there, and that's also on the old one. But it's highlighted better, I think, and the back's far more dynamic, being pink. But all the content on the back, that's exactly the same. That hasn't changed. The main difference that you will note is the cover illustration, and this is where it gets very interesting, because now I shall reveal a secret. That cover was not designed by a human. That cover was designed by an artificial intelligence, which, given that this is a collection of, you know, at least a third science fiction and fantasy stories, is quite appealing to me. I won't tell you which one it is in question. I just feel, or will I? Yeah, oh, might as well. It's Wonder AI created that cover. And I can't remember the exact prompt I gave it, but I was referring to the story Black Cubes, which is where mysterious black cubes are discovered floating one morning over major cities and towns and villages. Nobody knows why, and there's no way to communicate with them until a message is passed out, which can only be understood by a fairly unknown American country singer-songwriter. It's a strange story, but it needed a strange image. So I gave the AI a prompt, and instead of producing black cubes as such, it did that. And it creates something far more architecturally interesting and very, very dynamic. And the text stands out really well against that background. And it just sort of looks more literary. And I think the main reason even though, I mean, this is a very nice abstract artwork by my father, you know, and I like it, but it doesn't really say anything. It's sort of like just a nice thing, but it's not really it's not dynamic. I mean, the difference is huge between that and that. And in these days of online publishing where the algorithm is in charge, having your cover jump out does make a big difference. And I've already started selling copies of this again, whereas it had completely stalled before. It's also much easier to advertise something that looks like that because it jumps out. You know, people want to stop and pause and say, oh, what's that? And of course, having the shiny cover again makes it feel like more of a prestige purchase. So I think I might even be able to offer this to bookshops if I can figure out how to do that. Whether it's worth it or not, I don't know. But I have another piece of news which will turn out to be relevant in a minute, which is that I think I've already mentioned, I've already done a video on leaving London. Well, I'm going to Margate, which is a sort of cool, hip, up-and-coming little seaside town on the Kent coast. For those of you not in the UK, that's the southern eastern tip of Britain. It's the closest point to France. And it's, well, was featured recently in the movie Empire of Light, Sam Mendes' new film. So if you want to see what Margate looks like at its best, that's a good place to do it. I'm moving there. I'll be living in my own little flat again, and hopefully that will inspire me to a new creativity. I've already started writing a story, which I'll hopefully present to you on this channel in a few days' time, which is set in Margate. So yeah, I'm moving there. New start, new ambitions, and a new cover for Running Coyote and Fallen Star, which is available on Amazon. So if you're intrigued by this, I keep flashing it. I'm going to flash it as many times as I need to. Better, isn't it? Definitely better. Let me know what you think. And let me know what you think of the stories if you actually get yourself a copy. And I will be back with another short story, which will appear probably in the second volume of my collected works very soon. Thanks for listening.